In this video, sister-in-law steals my niece's Christmas gift for charity. Caught my new housemate sleeping on my bed without my permission and she says I'm the one disrespecting her. And Mama Karen wanted me to turn off my TV when her family walks by my apartment because her kid is grounded. Sister-in-law steals my niece's Christmas gift for charity. I have a 7-year-old niece who wants to be a police officer like her dad when she grows up and loves the color pink. The more sickly sweet pink, the better. She's a sweet kid that doesn't ask for much. I like to knit and crochet during the year. Then I give the scarves and hats that I make to my aunt's church who organizes Christmas parties for really low-income families. I'm talking about people with children who can barely afford a coat. This party is filled with games and activities for the children. It's amazing since the church is very active in the community and has managed to get sponsors from big supermarkets who offer whole turkeys and lots of food for the parents on top of top quality gifts for the children. I love helping my aunt during this time by giving my time and knitting stuff for those less fortunate. My brother recently started dating this girl, and to be kind and honest, I don't like her. She has trouble understanding personal space, privacy of others, or boundaries. She will insist that you tell her all about private affairs that you don't want to talk about and will make it her business. She has been constantly trying to get me to date her friends that I'm not interested in. At one point, she thought I was a lesbian because I didn't like any of the guys she wanted to set me up with. When my aunt talked about the church's plan to still offer help during Christmas despite COVID, I told her that I had lots of scarves and hats to give at home. My aunt was delighted and asked me to bring them to her as soon as possible. I agreed. However, the day I wanted to bring them to her, I was called to come into the office to replace a colleague. My work is in reduced workload. I asked my sister-in-law if she could pick up the bag with the scarves and hat that was sitting at the top of my stairs, not in my living room. As I said, my niece loves the color pink, and she asked me to make her a neon hot pink hat and scarf with a white heart. I agreed, and had just finished them both and left them in a drawer in my living room. I was planning to wrap them up and give it to my sister later on. Fast forward to this evening. I come home, exhausted. I noticed my sister-in-law had come by and taken the bag. Oh, great, I thought. It reminded me of my niece's gifts. However, when I came to get them, they were gone. I checked everywhere for them, thinking I had misplaced them. Then it hit me. Maybe I had put them with the bag by mistake. I immediately called my aunt, but she couldn't find them. There was no neon hot pink scarf or hat with a white heart. I call my sister-in-law in a panic. She picks up and tells me that she had seen the scarf and hat. Oh, thank God, right? Nope. Turns out that dear bitch-in-law decided that I hadn't given enough for charity, so she decided to snoop around my house to find some more. She took 4 other scarves and hats that were for other people, my niece's gift, and decided to rearrange my drawers because they were not clean and organized. I put my anger on the back burner for a while because my niece's gift was more important for now. When I asked her what happened to it, she responded that she had taken it and gave it to her niece because her sister was in need. To say that I was offended and pissed is like saying that fire burns. I proceed to lose my shit at her. How dare she? She goes through my stuff and take my belongings, give away my gift for my niece, and then has the nerve to give me a lecture on how I should be happy that I help a spoiled brat who has 2 parents making in the 7 figures a year. I told her that if the scarf and hat weren't in my possession by tomorrow night, I was gonna sue the shit out of her. She scoffed and hung up. I called everyone in my family, especially my brother. 20 minutes ago, my sister-in-law brought me the scarf and hat back and apologized. She was in tears and begging me not to involve my cop of a brother-in-law. My brother-in-law, bless his heart, had swung by her house and had threatened to have her arrested for thievery. I just took my stuff back, thanked her for doing the right thing, and closed the door on her. I was so angry at her that I was numb inside. My niece will have her gift. My aunt has the knitted stuff I made for her church, and my brother is now single. What a day. Caught my new housemate sleeping on my bed without my permission, and she says I'm the one disrespecting her. Back in July, I began renting a room that would be closer to my new workplace. It was a 3-bed, 3-bath house, and 2 tenants would be leaving. One of the tenants, let's call her Regina, would continue living downstairs until the end of the year. I had the chance to speak with Regina on the phone to talk about house rules and breakdowns of bills and utilities. One of the most important rules she told me was that we weren't allowed to have boys stay overnight. She explained how she's married and that because of her beliefs/slash culture, she's not comfortable with having other men stay overnight in the house. I told her I respected her beliefs and asked if it was okay if I had my boyfriend, friends, or even my family come over just to visit or to help me move my things into the house. She told me that it was okay with her to have my boyfriend and male friends come over as long as I told her beforehand that they would be visiting. I then explained to her that even though I would not physically be there or move in until August, I'm still paying for rent starting July because I don't want to lose my spot in the house. Fast forward to beginning of August. I decided to take a bed I bought at IKEA to the house and have my boyfriend help me build it. I made sure to let Regina know earlier that day and updated her when I was close to the house. Meeting her in person for the first time went by smoothly, and she even gave us snacks, drinks as refreshment while we were building my bed. Before leaving, I wanted to lock my room door, but noticed that the previous tenant forgot to leave me the keys to my room. I decided to ask my landlady for a spare key next time I see her and left the house. 2 days after, I had an HR/new hire appointment at my work, so I thought it would be good to drop off some stuff into the house since I would be in the area. Again, I asked my boyfriend to come with me. We decided to stop by the house first before heading to my workplace. This time around, I texted Regina 5 minutes before arriving to the house, which I understand I should have informed her way earlier. We open the front door, and the first thing we see is an air mattress blocking the door. After pushing it aside, we see an absolute mess in the living room/slash common area. It literally looked like a tornado flew in the room. We see food, clothes, and trash all over the floor, table, and couches. Then, when we walk up the stairs to go to my bedroom, we find my door completely wide open with someone sleeping on my bed, back facing me, and a bunch of stuff scattered or hanging in the room. I didn't feel comfortable walking in there even though it was my own room. I felt so shocked and disgusted that I ran downstairs to see if Regina was in her room. I walk towards her room and find her bedroom door wide open and see someone else on her bed, which I assumed to be her mother or grandma. I try asking her where Regina was, and she says in broken English, "Sorry, I don't speak English." So I take out my phone and call Regina. Not a second later, I hear a phone ringing from upstairs. I quickly try to walk upstairs, but Regina pops her head out before I could completely go up the stairs to my room. I then noticed that the shirt Regina was wearing was the same shirt the stranger that was sleeping on my bed was wearing. Turns out she was the one in my room and sleeping on my bed. She tells me to wait downstairs because she was not wearing anything else besides her shirt, and since my boyfriend is here, she's not comfortable walking downstairs to talk to us. I patiently wait, and then I hear a door upstairs close shut. Regina then calls me on the phone and says I can go upstairs now. All the stuff that was in my room was gone and moved into the room next door. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to confront her right away since I was going to be late to my appointment at work if I stayed. After my HR appointment, I gave my landlady a call and told her everything that happened. She told me that what Regina did was unacceptable and disrespectful since she violated my privacy. I asked her if it was okay that I changed my door lock entirely and that I could give her the spare key afterwards. She said yes, and so my boyfriend and I drove to Home Depot to buy a new lock and screwdriver to assemble it. We even bought Lysol spray and Clorox wipes to disinfect my room and bed. COVID still exists, guys, so better safe than sorry. When we got to the house, Regina and the family member were nowhere to be found. We quickly changed the door lock and disinfected my room. The landlady's husband then came over to pick up the spare key to the new lock we installed. Before leaving, I made sure to lock my room door this time. An hour later, when I got back home, I called Regina to talk about the incident. However, before I could say anything, she says, "Hear me out and let me explain myself first." I let her talk. She starts off saying how she was scared that she would be alone in the house, so she called her mom to stay with her to keep her company and to help clean the house since the previous tenants apparently left the house messy and dirty. She then says her grandma also came, but suddenly got pneumonia, and so they had to take her to the hospital to get treated late at night. She explained how she got back to the house early at 2 a.m., and since her grandma was recovering, Regina told her grandma to sleep on her bed while she went to my room to sleep on my bed. She then said, "After hearing my reasons and knowing that it was an emergency, I appreciate it if you would be flexible and understanding of my situation." I then expressed how I felt sorry about her grandma's situation and that I hope she recovers well, but shared how I felt disrespected and shocked that she she did not even consider asking me for permission to go into my room and sleep on my bed, especially when we were still living in a pandemic. She butts in before I could say anything else and says, well, all you had in there was your bed, and you weren't going to move in until later anyways. I explained to her that I've been paying rent since July and that technically I can move in whenever I wanted to. I also told her that she could have slept in the living room and that I saw an air mattress in the house that she could have slept on. Regina continued to make excuse after excuse, and so I told her that this could never happen again and that I just wanted to hear her say sorry because of how violated and disrespected I felt. She then says, what do you want me to do? Pay for a new mattress or bed? I can give you money if that's what you want. I completely lost it here. I told her I didn't want her money and that I just wanted to hear a genuine apology from her. She then complains how I disrespected her by bringing my boyfriend over without letting her know beforehand. She says how she's so flexible and that her husband doesn't even want any males coming into the house, regardless if they are there just to visit or help move things in. I tell her that my understanding of her rule was that guys weren't allowed to sleep overnight and that visiting was okay if I let her know beforehand. She complains, texting 5 minutes before is too late of a notice. I apologize to her and I tell her that it was wrong on my part that I didn't let her know way earlier that I was coming by with my boyfriend. Regina then says, okay, so since you made a mistake and I made a mistake, let's call it even. I tell her that I haven't even heard an apology from her yet, and then she says, you're making such a big deal about it and being so rude to me right now. You're so difficult to speak with. I don't want to argue with you anymore. I'm older than you and you shouldn't even be speaking to me this way. At that moment, I said, okay, bye, thank you, and hung up. Right after the call ended, I literally cried because of how emotionally draining the call was and the whole situation in general. Am I being inconsiderate for making a big deal out of her being in my room and sleeping on my bed? Mama Karen wanted me to turn off my TV when her family walks by my apartment because her kid is grounded. I just moved into an apartment last week. So far, everyone I've met in passing has been nice. No one has been too loud at unreasonable hours, arguing with each other, stealing parking spaces, and other typical shared space craziness. Yet at least, only been here a week. I did, however, encounter a Mama Karen and her 6-year-old son. My apartment is one of those half-in-the-ground units with 2 other floors on top. As such, the top of my patio wall is level to the walking path. If I have my blinds open, you can easily see into my living room and kitchen. This honestly doesn't bother me. The weather is finally really nice here, so after work yesterday, I opened my patio sliding door and blinds to let the cooler air in while playing some Minecraft. After a while, I could hear a couple of women talking outside a few units down. Just general chit-chat. I also heard a smaller kid running around, messing with the gravel along the pathways and generally just being a bored kid while mommy talked with her friend. Really, no big deal at all. Then it happened. I heard one of the women call for the kid. Jason! 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 Get over here, Jason! Fake name for protection. I looked up to see the kid standing on the path next to my unit transfixed on the TV. Uh-oh. He didn't answer quick enough. Mama Karen came stomping over to him and jerked his arm to force him to look at her while she yelled in his face about answering her and not to watch TV, especially someone else's. I thought the way she was acting was overkill, but let it be. He's not my kid, and I'm not a parent at all, just to my fur babies, 2 cats. I did pay attention for if things got worse to jump in, but didn't stare. I only looked over when she called out to me to apologize for her son. Note, not for her behavior. I said it was fine. Mama Karen took him back over to her friend and they continued talking. Eventually, the kid started playing around near them again. Soon, he was back over at my patio looking in, watching me play. Soon after that, I hear Mama Karen yell at him again. This time, he flinched, hard. It broke my heart to see the effects of abuse in action, and was just frozen staring at her. This time, I jumped up and went to my patio door. She was already at him by then and yelling at him again. I tried to interject to say I truly didn't mind that he was watching me play. This is where the Karen aspect comes in. She turned to me sickly sweet, the demon gone for the moment, and kindly explained that dear Jason was grounded and not allowed to even look at a TV. I said, a bummer dude, to him in sympathy. She didn't like that I addressed him and not her. I also don't think she liked that I showed him sympathy instead of instantly taking her side. Even though I had no idea why he was punished in the first place, I wouldn't doubt if it was something asinine, non existent reason on her part or her being bothered by normal child behaviors. She then asked me something that blew my mind. Can you please shut off your TV when we're out here? We're usually out here for about an hour a day. Or can you just shut your window and blinds? Not gonna lie, the people pleaser I've been raised to be almost said, oh, sure, no problem, and was gonna do it. Then I stopped myself thinking, what? Telling me what to do in my house? I'm trying to have a shinier spine. I told her no, I won't. Oh boy, that sure as hell is her trigger word. I thought she was gonna reach in and jerk me around and yell at me like I was her child. The look was so instantly pissed off. She again explained the situation fully, expecting me to cooperate this time. She laid out her case. She made the demand again. Not a fox question this time. I again told her no. I came home to relax, and this is how I do it. She asked me if I have kids. Uh-oh, I'm solidly child-free, and according to the laws of parenting, my thoughts and opinions are completely and instantly invalid unless I pop out at least one entire, mostly full-term crotch spawn. I told her no, and she smirked. I thought so. I was ready for a lecture on how to handle kids properly or something, but she just jerked her son away back towards the other woman, who I assumed was still there. She said something as she went, but I didn't really hear it, so I don't know if it was me, her son, or her friend, maybe even grumbling to herself. I hadn't seen those two before yesterday, but apparently they're out there for at least 1 hour daily around that time. There's a pool, a few barbecue pits, and a grassy area outside my unit in between the surrounding units slash buildings. I get to see all the good doggos walk by and it makes my day. I really hope she doesn't cause issues for me. I just want to live there and not be bothered. I'm not going to help her parent her child. No one else in the whole world should be expected to except her. I just don't get how she thinks she can ask a total stranger to turn off the TV in their home because she's punishing her child in hers. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm proud of myself for standing my ground. As brief as the encounter was, I worry for the kid though.